Hello and welcome to Wayne's universe of bizarre and exotic characters. Today we're live from Bill Rose's private studio, and the story is Serpent Wisdom. It is written in the ancient book that there will be a time of turmoil before the advent of the lavender leaves, clucked the old wizard in the presence of his likely successor. These are only tales, countered the young buck half coldly, though he bore no disrespect for the views of the elder spellcaster. I, for one, need proof of an assertion before I'll digest it down into the belly of me. You belong to a perverse generation, the wizard reprimanded him. Spells are never to be taken lightly, for there is a thin line between darkness and light. More tales, old one, countered the young spellwright. I'll compose my own book on the subject some day. Suit yourself, shrugged the elder spellcaster. Just be mindful of the blueprints for action which the ancient works have provided for us. Always search the matrix of your frameworks first before taking action on any mental watercourse. Mentality, psyche, spirit, it's all the same energy to me, the young buck responded wryly. I'm not a context guy so much as I'm a content individual. Theoretical templates are nevertheless pivotal coins in the fountain of wisdom, rattled the venerable cuss off the top of his hoary-haired head. Such insights have served me well during the course of my mortal tenure. At that precise moment, a strikingly beautiful woman with curling dark brown hair appeared on the near horizon almost as if by magic. She approached the older gent and his young protege as though she were a friend of them both. Excuse me, she interrupted their half-conversation, but does anyone know if this is the way to Excoriation Beach? It is indeed, replied the older man. But why would one so fair be seeking to visit a place so utterly dismal? We all have our reasons, old one, interjected the younger man, who wished to make the acquaintance of the comely woman. Locking his gaze upon her, he inquired rhetorically, don't we now? The woman seemed to be pleased with the young man's response. She smiled a sort of smile that says, I understand what the question means, and I likewise understand what the question behind the question means. Her actual words, by contrast, were, yes, we do have our own reasons for doing as we do in this world. This is understood, mouthed the wise elder in a ho-hum manner. At the conclusion of a brief interchange of verbiage between the young man and the young woman, the latter took her leave of the two street-level philosophers. She seems like a kind-hearted soul, observed the old wizard quaintly. On that point, I think we'll find room for agreement, answered the young buck. Only a matter of moments passed before another woman, this time older and with a streak of gray hair lining her well-groomed head, appeared on the scene. If it hadn't been for the all-too-obvious age difference between the first woman and the second, then one might have been tempted to swear that the two female strangers were sisters or perhaps close cousins. But for some strange reason, connecting the two as mother and daughter made no sense to either man. Well, hello there, intoned the older woman gently. Would I be imposing on either of you gentlemen to ask if I'm on the right trail to Perilous Reef? This time it was the younger man's turn to answer the query first. He eyed the woman with no particular relish and replied, It surely is. You have only to follow that woman there, and you'll reach your destination in no time at all. Perplexed by the young man's response, the woman stared at him and wondered aloud, What woman where? Both the older man and the younger man turned their heads quickly in stunned disbelief. There was no blessed sign of the younger woman's existence anywhere in sight. I can assure you, began the older man apologetically, that we had just finished conversing with a woman of a young age who strongly resembles you, and that she had taken her leave of us thereafter, perfectly within our line of sight to the far horizon yonder. I see no proof of your assertion, she stated bluntly to both men at once. But after she saw the disconsolate look on each man's bewildered face, she softened her words and said to the old wizard, But I do wish to thank you for your information. I'm afraid that you're mistaken, the elder laughed politely. It was our young friend here who deserves the credit for that. So it was, she smiled wistfully at the older man. So it was. As she turned to take her leave of the two gents, she patted the wizard flirtatiously a few strokes on the sternum. The two men self-consciously flitted their line of sight alternately at one another and then at the ground, somewhat unsettled by the turn of events that had happened recently. After nearly 5 full minutes of stone silence between the two men, the younger one spoke up and queried, "I wonder what became of the younger woman?" His counterpart, the wizard, asked, "Yes, it was rather unsettling the way that she just sort of disappeared from view. But for some odd reason, I seem to be more concerned with the fate of the older woman. You do understand, don't you?" "Of course I understand," the young buck reassured him. "I feel the same way about the younger woman." After a moment's hesitation, he continued, "You don't suppose that something dreadful has happened to either one of them, do you?" "It would be easy enough to find out," answered the old buck. Venturing to the crest of Perilous Reef, which overlooks Excoriation Beach, the two men perused the landmass some 400 or more feet beneath them. The younger man then said, I see no sign of either one of them anywhere." Just as the older man was about to speak, however, a sudden gust of wind caught hold of the two philosophers and whisked them over the side of the ridge and onto the purplish-red rocks below. The whole way down, they both could have sworn that they heard a young woman's voice, then an older woman's voice, though it could very well have been a combination of the two. This marks the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you again. Be on the lookout for Wayne's Universe of Bizarre and Exotic Characters, because you never know where I'm going to turn up. Bye.